Riley Matthews huddled under the overhang of an abandoned warehouse, holding a shivering husky puppy against her chest as rain poured down in sheets. At 24, she'd been homeless for 8 months, ever since her landlord sold the building, and she couldn't afford first and last month's rent anywhere else in the city. She'd been sleeping in shelters when she could get a bed, or finding dry corners like this when she couldn't. Her savings were gone, her phone was dead, and most days she survived on whatever food banks offered and the kindness of strangers who didn't look away. But today, despite having nothing, she'd saved something precious. She'd found the husky puppy tied to a fence in the pouring rain. Abandoned and terrified, its blue eyes desperate. The note attached to its collar said simply, "Can't keep him. Please give him a good home." Riley had no home to give, but she couldn't leave the dog there to suffer. So she'd untied him, wrapped him in her only dry jacket, and brought him to her current shelter, the overhang of a warehouse slated for demolition. It wasn't much, but it was dry, and the puppy had finally stopped shaking. "It's okay," Riley whispered to the dog, stroking his soft fur. "We'll figure this out. Maybe tomorrow I'll find the shelter that takes dogs. Someone will want you. You're beautiful." The puppy licked her face, his tail wagging weakly, and Riley felt tears mix with the rain on her cheeks. When had she last felt needed? When had anyone, even an animal, been glad for her presence? She fell asleep that night with the puppy curled against her, both of them sharing body heat under her thin blanket, while rain drummed overhead and the city moved on without noticing two desperate creatures taking shelter in its forgotten corners. Morning brought unexpected noise. Riley woke to the sound of an expensive car pulling up, doors slamming, and a man's voice calling urgently, "Ranger! Ranger, where are you?" Riley sat up quickly, instinctively protective of the puppy who'd snuggled closer at the disturbance. A man in a gray suit was running through the rain, looking around frantically, clearly searching for something. The puppy's ears perked up and he let out a small bark. The man's head whipped around, his eyes landing on Riley and the dog. "Ranger!" Relief flooded the man's handsome face as he rushed over. He was perhaps in his early 30s, clearly wealthy based on his expensive suit and the luxury SUV idling nearby with a little girl watching through the window. "Thank God! I've been looking everywhere." He reached for the puppy, but Riley pulled back instinctively. "Wait, you abandoned him." The note said, "I didn't abandon him. My daughter's babysitter did." The man's expression was a mixture of anger and distress. "I was away on business. The sitter decided a puppy was too much work and left him tied up without telling me. My daughter has been crying for 2 days. When I got home yesterday and found out what happened, I've been searching everywhere." Riley looked at the little girl in the car, her face pressed to the window, tears streaming down her cheeks. Something in Riley's chest softened. "He was tied up in the rain," Riley said, her voice harder than she felt. "Scared and cold. If you take him back, how do I know you'll take care of him?" The man met her eyes, and Riley saw genuine anguish there. "Because my daughter Lily has been sleeping with his empty bed, and I've spent 2 days driving around in the rain looking for him. Because I fired the babysitter and reported her for animal cruelty. Because this dog is family, and I will never let anything happen to him again." He noticed Riley's condition then. The worn clothes, the thin blanket, the fact that she was sleeping in an abandoned warehouse. His expression shifted from urgency to concern. "Have you been taking care of him? Keeping him warm?" I gave him my jacket, my dry one. It's all I had. Riley carefully handed over the puppy, who immediately started licking the man's face with joy. "He's hungry. I couldn't feed him." "I barely feed myself." The man held the puppy close, his eyes never leaving Riley's face. "You're homeless. Very observant," Riley said, defensive walls rising. "You saved my daughter's dog when you have nothing. You kept him warm with your only dry clothes. You protected him from the rain when you don't even have proper shelter yourself." The man's voice was thick with emotion. "I'm Nathan Blackwood. That's my daughter Lily, and I need to do something for you. Please, let me help." "I don't need charity," Riley said automatically, though her empty stomach and soaked clothes told a different story. "It's not charity. It's gratitude." Nathan pulled out his wallet, extracting several bills. "At least let me give you something for taking care of Ranger." Riley stared at the money, pride warring with desperation. "I didn't do it for payment. I did it because he needed help, I know. Which is exactly why I want to help you." Nathan paused, seeming to make a decision. "I own Blackwood Industries. We have employee housing, a job placement program, resources for people trying to get back on their feet. Will you at least come to my office tomorrow? Let me see what opportunities might be available." Riley wanted to say no, wanted to maintain her dignity, but the little girl had gotten out of the car and was running over, wrapping her arms around the puppy while looking at Riley with grateful eyes. "Thank you for saving Ranger," Lily said, her voice small but sincere. "He's my best friend. I was so scared I'd never see him again." Looking at that child's tear-stained face, Riley couldn't refuse. "Okay, I'll come to your office. But I want a real job, not charity. I used to be a graphic designer before I lost everything. If you have work I can actually do, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll manage on my own." Nathan pulled out a business card and a $100 bill. "This is for food today. The card has my direct line. Call me tomorrow morning and my assistant will arrange everything. Housing, job interview, whatever you need. You saved what matters most to my daughter. Let me return the favor." The next morning, Riley stood outside Blackwood Industries wearing clothes from a thrift store, her hair clean from a shelter shower, calling the number on the card with a phone Nathan had insisted she take the day before. His assistant arranged for a car to pick her up, and Riley found herself in a gleaming office building that represented everything she'd lost. Nathan met her personally, Lily at his side. "Riley, thank you for coming. I've been thinking about this all night. You're clearly talented and hardworking, but you need stability. I have a proposal." He outlined a position as a junior graphic designer, full benefits, and access to employee housing at reduced rent until she got on her feet. It was more than generous. It was life-changing. "Why?" Riley asked, suspicious of anything that seemed too good. "You don't know me. I could be terrible at my job. You saved my daughter's dog when you had every reason to just walk past. You kept him safe using your only resources. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." Nathan's expression was sincere. "I've been where you are. Not homeless, but desperate. My wife died 3 years ago, and I was so lost I almost destroyed everything I'd built. Someone gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it. I'm paying that forward. Daddy says when people are kind, we should be kind back," Lily added solemnly. "You were kind to Ranger, so we're being kind to you." Riley accepted the job, moved into the employee housing, and discovered she was actually good at her work when she had stability and resources. Nathan checked on her regularly, always professional but increasingly friendly. Lily visited the design department often, always bringing Ranger, who'd grown into a magnificent husky and seemed to remember Riley as his rescuer. Over months, something unexpected developed. Riley and Nathan began having lunch together, conversations that started about work and evolved into genuine friendship. Lily asked if Riley could come to her school events when Nathan had business conflicts. Ranger refused to leave Riley's side whenever they visited. "I think my dog and my daughter have adopted you," Nathan said one evening after Riley had stayed for dinner at his house. "And honestly, I'd like to as well. Not as an employee, as someone I care about. Nathan, I was homeless 8 months ago. I'm still rebuilding my life. You're a CEO with a daughter who needs stability. This doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. You're strong enough to survive on the streets, but compassionate enough to save a scared puppy using your only dry clothes. You're talented but humble. You're kind to my daughter and patient with my dog. You're exactly what I've been looking for, someone real." He took her hand gently. "I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking if you'd consider building something with me and Lily. A family, not because I saved you with a job, but because you saved us by reminding me that character matters more than circumstances." Riley looked at this man who'd seen past her circumstances to her humanity, at the little girl who'd trusted her immediately, at the dog who'd led them all to each other. "I'm scared. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail again? Then we'll figure it out together." "That's what families do." Nathan smiled. "You didn't leave Ranger in the rain." "I'm not going to leave you in yours. Let us be your shelter." A year after finding a scared puppy in the rain, Riley stood in Nathan's living room wearing a simple dress, Lily as flower girl and Ranger as ring bearer. The ceremony was intimate, just close friends and family, but it felt more real than any grand wedding could have. In her vows, Riley spoke through tears. I found a dog in the rain because I couldn't walk past something suffering. What I didn't know was that dog would lead me to a man who couldn't walk past my suffering either. Nathan, you saw past my circumstances to who I actually was. You gave me not just a job, but a purpose, not just housing, but a home. You and Lily taught me that family isn't about never falling down, but about having people who help you stand back up. I promise to be that person for both of you, to be the mother Lily deserves and the partner you've been waiting for. Nathan's vows were equally emotional. A homeless woman used her only dry clothes to save my daughter's dog. That act of compassion, despite having nothing, revealed more character than any resume could show. Riley, you taught Lily and me that kindness isn't about what you have, but who you are. You proved that the strongest people are often the ones the world has overlooked. I promise to never overlook you, to see your value every day, and to build a life where we all shelter each other from whatever storms come. The homeless girl who'd saved a dog from the rain had found something more valuable than shelter. A family who'd proven that sometimes rescuing someone leads to being rescued yourself, that compassion creates connections no circumstance can break, and that the dogs we save sometimes lead us exactly where we're meant to be. She'd given her dry jacket to a scared puppy and received a lifetime of warmth in return. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a time when helping someone changed your own life. Your stories inspire us all.